one more time.
صباح الخير للجميع وشكرا جزيلا على الحضور وشكرا على يعني الاهتمام بقضية أطفال سوريا والحرب في سوريا على الأطفال لمدة 8 أعوام. في الواقع قصة طالت جدا ونشكركم على الاهتمام وعلى الإخلاص وعلى المثابرة والمتابعة في رواية قصة الأطفال وفي أنكم أصدقاء للأطفال في سوريا. أحببت بداية أن أعطي لمحة قصيرة عن عملنا في اليونيسف من أجل تسليط الضوء على معاناة الأطفال في سوريا. كنا من عام 2013 وهي كانت الذكرى الثانية من اندلاع الحرب، ذكرى مرور عامين على اندلاع الحرب. كنا بدأنا بإحياء هذه الذكرى، هذا اليوم الحزين بالفعل. بداية في 2013 حذرنا في اليونيسف من ضياع جيل كامل من الأطفال، وفي العام الذي تلاه سلطنا الضوء على قضية الحصار والأطفال تحت الحصار. وفي السنوات التي تلت قمنا بتسليط الضوء على الخروقات الجدية ضد حقوق الأطفال في داخل سوريا، وفي بعض الأحيان الأخرى سلطنا الضوء على المجتمعات المضيفة وعلى دور المجتمعات المضيفة من بين لبنان في استضافة الأطفال واستضافة عائلات الأطفال. في عام 2017 قبل عامين اجتمعنا مع السيد جاد رحباني وقمنا بإطلاق أغنية دقة قلب، وهي كانت أغنية كتبها الأستاذ جاد وقام بتلحينها السفير زيت إيراني. كنا نحكي عن سنة 2017 وعن العمل اللي قمنا به مع الأستاذ جاد، أغنية دقة قلب. وبالفعل كان هذا العام كان يعني الإلهام لهالمشروع اللي اليوم كلنا عم نحكي. هذا العام منظور مختلف. الحرب على الأطفال في سوريا لم تنتهي بعد للأسف، والأثر الذي تتركه الحرب الضروس على الأطفال هائل. ولكن هذا العام قررنا أن نجتمع مرة أخرى مع جاد رحباني وأن نطلق ألبوم اسمه 11. وهذا الألبوم هو مجموعة من أغاني الأطفال التي كانت قد افترضت في عام 1976. واليوم تجتمع اليونيسف مع جاد رحباني وبدعم سخي من الاتحاد الأوروبي الذي قام بكل سخاء في الواقع بتمويل هذا المشروع. الكلمة الآن للأستاذ جاد رحباني عن المشروع. إليكم.
شكرا. أول شيء بدي أرحب فيكم قبل ما بلش احكي شوي بتفاصيل صغيره من المشروع. بدي اشكر اليونيسف وعلى ثقتهم اللي حطوها فيه وحطوها بهالاغاني كل التيم اللي اشتغل ريلي اشتغلوا كلهم من قلبهم. اول شيء هالاغاني اللي غنيتها كان عمري شي 8 سنين انا وغسان اخوي، بتعني لي كثير، والاغاني بقيت لليوم منتشره بقوه وبعدها موجوده بالسوق وبعدها موجوده كل الناس وكل الاهل بيسمعوها لاولادهم. بفتكر هالاغاني خلقت هالفكره عند اليونيسف انه ليش ما بنرجع نعيد الامل من جديد للاطفال اللي عايشين بلا امل؟ ليش ما بنخلق لهم واحه من الحب والسلام والسعاده؟ تنعطيهم شيء جديد ما معودين يشوفوه، ما معودين يعملوه. بقى من هون انا كثير حبيت الفكره وكثير حبيت فكره المشروع انه نقدر نطبقها بشكل كثير منيح. وفعلا هيدا اللي صار. فقعدنا توزيع الاغاني وبشكل جديد وانطلقنا على ورشات العمل، الورك شوبس يلي انعملوا بلبنان، سوريا والاردن وتركيا. وبحكي انا عن تجربتي. اول شيء انه انا تفاجأت بشو شفت، يعني بس فت على المخيمات وشفت العمل الكبير اللي عم بينعمل، العيال والولاد اللي عم بتعيش مع الاسف اني عم بيعيشوا حياه مش طبيعيه في برات بلادهم وبيوتهم، بس العمل الكبير اللي عم ينعمل لهالناس والحياه اللي عم ترجع تتقدم لهم من جديد والامل اللي عم بيعطوهم اياه، عم بيخلقوا لهم حياه من جديد بهالمدن الكبيره اللي عايشين فيها، عم بيخلقوا لهم ذكريات للاطفال اللي فقدوا ذكرياتهم بارضهم. بفتكر في عمل كثير كبير عم بيصير، ومن هون نحن بهالعمل اللي عملناه قدرنا نشارك يمكن بشيء بسيط على عدد كبير من الناس اللي مهجره من بيوتها. شاركنا بشيء بسيط انه نخلق امل جديد، فرح جديد، ونوع من حماس عند الاولاد اللي عم بيفقدوا الحماس. فانطلقنا على ورشات العمل والفرح اللي اكتشفناه عند الاولاد بعيونهم وبحماسهم ليشاركوا بالاغاني ويغنوهم ويحفظوهم كان اكثر من التوقعات. وخلق عندهم شيء جديد وعندنا شيء جديد. انا بالنسبه لي تجربه فريده من نوعها، ما كنت بتامل، ما كنت بتخيل بحياتي انه رح شارك بهيك شيء ورح اوصل اعمل هيك شيء. فعلا الحياه فيها كثير مفاجآت. فانا بدي اقول انه الاطفال كانوا الشيء اللي بدنا نوصله قدرنا وصلناه بعتقد، لانه بس تشوف الانتراكشن، يعني نشوف كيف صار التفاعل مع الاولاد معنا ونحن وياهم، بتعرف انك اليوم انجزت ولو شغله صغيره كثير مهمه لهالاطفال وذكريات ما راح يقدروا ينسوها ويمحوها من راسهم بحياتهم. فانا اتامل انه نكون عملنا لهم واحه من السلام، واحه من الامل، وان شاء الله نقدر هالشيء نكبره على صعيد اكبر ونوصله لاكبر عدد ممكن من الاطفال، يمكن مش بس بمنطقتنا، كمان بغير مناطق من العالم، مش بس منطقتنا عم تعذب وين ما كان في عذاب بالعالم. فانا سعيد جدا بانطلاق الفكره وهالمشروع، وبس اقول انه من بعد ما الاولاد شاركوا بالورشات عملنا نقينا هالولاد، اجوا كل ولد بولد غنى لوحده وسمعنا صوته وشفنا شو قدراته وقد حماسه، وقدرنا انتقينا منهم عدد لا باس به تيروح بكل بلد على استوديو يسجل هالاغاني ال 11 يشاركوا فيهم كلهم. واول مره عم بيفوتوا على استوديو، اول مره عم بيعملوا هيك شيء، عملوه بشكل تلقائي وطبيعي، ما بعرف كيف القوه بتجي من وين. وكان النتيجه اكثر من التوقعات فنيا عم بحكي. وانا سعيد بهذا الشيء، وانا بعتبر انه انجزنا شيء كبير. مبروك للجميع.
شكرا كثير جاد، وشكرا على التعاون على مر السنتين اللي مرقوا بالفعل. انت كنت صديق وفي جدا للاطفال في سوريا ولاطفال المنطقه. بنشكرك جدا وفخورين بهالانتاج. شكرا.
لو كانت الموسيقى لغة الشعوب لكان السلام يعم الأرض. أنا سعيد جدا لما بمرق بهالحياة وبشوف الأطفال اللي أنا كلهم قدامي هلا عم يمرقوا، بحس بقلبك في عصافير. وبعد 40 سنة عم برجع أشوف الأغاني اللي أنا عملتهم تطلع للأولاد وتكون الحياة حلوة.
المشروع بيعني لي كثير، لأنه وقت كان عمري 8 سنين كانت أول مرة فوت على الاستوديو مع الوالد ومع خيي، وما حدا بهالوقت كان يفكر إنه رح ياخذوا هالانتشار وهالمدى الكبير على كل المنطقة العربية وحتى بالعالم. التوزيع الموسيقي الجديد اللي عم ينعمله بإطار جديد الأغاني كمان، واللي رح يتغنوا بأصوات الأطفال من سوريا، من الأردن، من لبنان، من كل البلاد، من تركيا.
كلنا عندهم سيارات وجدي عنده حمار، بيركبنا خلفه بياخدنا مشوار.
الولد اليوم اللي عم بيعيش مراحل يمكن مش كتير حلوة، هالشرح عن الموسيقى، هالغنى رح تكون يعني أنا بفتكر شغلة كتير مهمة لمستقبلهم وللأمل يلي بتشوفوا بعيونهم للأطفال.
امبارح يا ربي يوم اختي حملت الورقة عايزة تحفظ هاي الأغاني. إجت ماما قالت شو عم تحفظي؟ إجت قالت هذا الأغاني أنت تتغايب. إجت ماما بلشت تغني معها، حافظت إنه ما صحت.
It is engaging children on songs dating from the 70s. Every mother, every father remembers from their childhood. Children have an opportunity to reconnect with their friends from the communities who have been generously receiving families and children throughout the 8 years of war.
كثير مبسوطة أنا بعلم عليهم أصلاً هي بتعرفهم لأنه أغاني أنا اديت عليهم أنا وصغيرة، كنت بعمرها وأصغر يمكن كنت أسمعهم، كل غنية عندها ذكرى خاصة فيي، وشو حلو بنكون أولادنا هلا بهيدا الشيء عم يرجعوا يعيدوا الأغاني اللي نحن تربينا عليهم.
لأني انبسطت معك وغنيت وتعلمت، يعني نسيت حالي أنا مو هون، خيال.
وهو بالفعل كان خيال وبدأ كحلم، واليوم نستطيع أن نقول بكل فرح أن بعض من هذا الحلم قد تحقق. فشكرا للجهود الكثيرة والدؤوبة والطاقات التي يعني استخدمت من أجل نجاح هذا المشروع، والشكر كبير لخير كبلاري مدير اليونيسف الإقليمي في الشرق الأوسط وشمال أفريقيا، الذي بالفعل كان منذ بداية هذا المشروع صديق للمشروع وآمن جدا بهذا المشروع. خير كلمة لك. شكرا
جولييت. صباح الخير. And as we are only a couple of days away of the International Women's Day. Sabah al-Word, Sabah al-Yasmin for the women in the room. Unfortunately, that's where my Arabic starts, but where it also ends. So apologies for speaking to you in English. Congratulations are in place for this heartwarming project. 11 songs from children, for children. Let me start with a word of deep appreciation and sincere thanks to all the people who made this possible. Starting with you, Jad. Thank you so very much, and please convey also our warmest thanks to your dad, Elias. Without him, we would not have been sitting here this morning. A warm thanks also to the colleagues in the European Union, and particularly the Director General Nia. Commissioner Hahn himself should be thanked. Michael Kohler, and last but not least, Nadim Harudi, who couldn't be here with us today. Without their support as well, we would not have been sitting here. The EU truly has to be praised for its trust in organizations like UNICEF through the Madad project, a trust that has been helping us for many years, supporting millions of Syrian children. Last but not least, I would also want to say a word of appreciation, deep appreciation to my own UNICEF team, the communication team, and Juliette's leadership with Suad, Philippe, and others, but also our teams on the ground, our teams in Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, Turkey, Iraq, Egypt, colleagues day in, day out, working for the most vulnerable children, including the Syrian children. Colleagues, friends, here we are again, 48th time, saddened by the impact upon children of a senseless war. We in UNICEF continue hoping the Syrian children, be them inside Syria or living as refugees, continue hoping so much more that their stolen childhood may return, may be restored. That next year there is no need any longer to mark the anniversary of a brutal war on children. I had the privilege 2 weeks ago to join a group of Syrian children inside Syria, spending an entire day singing Elias and Jad's songs, beautiful children's songs. And there's a moment in that day that I will never forget. A young girl, 12 years old, sitting the entire day next to me. Suddenly, let's call her Rana. Suddenly, Rana broke out in tears while we were singing. We were singing the song Mabruk. Mabruk, a song celebrating a dad's birthday. And let me just read the lyrics of that song, or some of the lyrics. You're the one who has raised me and stayed awake all night. You held me on your shoulders, moving me from side to side. What can I offer you other than candles and the love I have for you in my We took Rana aside in tears and tried to understand what made her suddenly cry so much. Rana's words were simple. Rana lost her dad very early on in the war. She told us she misses her dad still every single day. Her mom remarried, probably the only way for her and her children to survive. Sadly, Rana's stepfather is extremely violent, also vis-à-vis Rana. In the 8 years of war, Rana told us she had been displaced 4 times. At least that is what she could remember. She told us it may have been even more. 4 times she lost friends. 4 times she lost out on education, saw her schooling interrupted. Rana's story is just one reminder, a small reminder of how it feels for a Syrian child today. After we spoke for half an hour, Rana was very keen in rejoining the group. Just another expression of how resilient children can be. She enjoyed singing. She told us it allowed her to make new friends. It allowed her to sing together with her mom, her auntie, her granddad. All of them remembered the songs from when they were children. It allowed Rana regaining a bit of her childhood. The 11 songs from Children for Children are indeed meant, and Jad emphasized it already, to bring a little bit of childhood back for millions of Syrian children, for the 8 million Syrian children whom today are still in dire need of the most basic humanitarian assistance. The songs are proven already to be very helpful for the children in dealing with the psychosocial distress many of them are coping with. Songs, a simple remedy, bringing some normality back, as is going to school or being able to play again for children. The songs bring children, families, communities together, rebuilding some of the much broken social fabric in Syria, even connecting refugee or displaced children with children from the communities who are generously hosting them. Let me turn to 2018 and some of the very stark statistics, again reflecting on how hard-hitting the war continues to be. 2018 has indeed been another very bad year for children in Syria. Colleagues, friends, we cannot allow ourselves to be fooled by claims of military victory. There is so far little gained from a children's perspective. Every single day in 2018, 3 children were killed in Syria. Every day, 3 children. And these are the numbers that we as UNICEF, as United Nations, have been able to verify, we can assume that the actual number of children killed is even much higher. Almost every day in 2018, a school or a health facility has been targeted, preventing children once again from going to school and benefiting from education, benefiting from the much needed health services. And let me be very clear, 2019 has not started on a better foot for children in Syria. In northeast Syria alone, every day since the 1st of January 2019, every single day, a child has died fleeing the fight against ISIS in the areas of Hajin and Barkos. Over 65,000 people, 90% of them being children and women, have had to find refuge in the Al-Hol refugee camp, a camp that is meant to host a maximum of 20,000 people. Today, more than 65,000 people have to be accommodated. And I can tell you, the harsh winter has been hitting very hard, particularly on the children and women in the camp. Since the beginning of the war, 2011, we estimate that 1 million children are born of Syrian families living in refugee hosting countries. Many of these 1 million children remain unregistered, and in the absence of a viable, durable solution, they run the risk ending stateless, a bleak future. Since the beginning of the war, 4 million children are estimated to have been born inside Syria. Their future is equally bleak in the absence of a political solution to, and let me emphasize it again from a children's perspective, a senseless war. So 1 million born in refugee hosting countries, 4 million born inside Syria. That makes, since 2011, 5 million children. 5 million children born for whom their entire life has been war, nothing but war. And some of these children are even worse off than others. Let me draw particular attention for the thousands of children born out of families allegedly associated with extremist armed groups such as ISIS. In Al-Hol camp alone in northeast Syria, we estimate that close to 3,000 of these children are of foreign nationality, living in extremely dire conditions. There are many more children in that camp of Syrian and Iraqi parents. Unfortunately, they carry the same label, ISIS. Many of them are younger than 6 years old. The message that these children are not wanted is growing stronger and stronger. They are not wanted in the camp. They are not wanted in their countries of origin. still waiting for third countries to come forward and offer them resettlement. Colleagues, friends, these are children, not terrorists. These are children entitled to a childhood, deserving a fair chance in life. All children impacted by the war in Syria continue matter for UNICEF. We will continue relentlessly providing support inside Syria and in refugee hosting countries. However, we cannot do it alone. Let me therefore conclude with 4 clear asks. My first ask on behalf of the Syrian children is that the war that sends us war need urgently a peaceful settlement. We cannot continue justifying the daily loss of lives of innocent children. Therefore, we call once again upon all parties, anyone with influence over them, and call upon the UN Special Envoy for Syria to make peace happen, not tomorrow, now. My second ask is for those children born out of families allegedly associated with extremist fighters. As I said, for us as UNICEF, these are children and they deserve a fair chance in life. An ask to the authorities who have these families in camps on their territory to allow unimpeded access to the children and ensure that they receive all the required protection and assistance. At the screening points before entering the camp, we want special attention to be given to any child, any person under the age of 18, girls and boys alike. They should never be separated from their families. Countries of which the foreign children are a national need to take their responsibility to protect their children and to repatriate them if this is in the child's best interest. It is these governments' primary accountability. UNICEF and our partners stand ready to assist. My third ask is related to the refugee hosting countries. These countries, such as Lebanon, Jordan, Turkey, Iraq, Egypt, they need continued international support in order for these countries, these governments, these communities to sustain the generosity they have shown for many years. Support that needs to include the most vulnerable children of these countries. Assistance cannot be solely based on a child's status as a refugee. We want, therefore, in countries like Lebanon, the international assistance to be there for each and every vulnerable child. And last but not least, the ask to the international community, who will be coming together from tomorrow onwards in Brussels for a pledging conference. The ask to that international community also to continue supporting our assistance to children inside Syria. Without that international support, principled humanitarian action for children will remain an illusion. Shukran. Thank you so much.
شكرا جزيلا خيرت على هذه الكلمات وعلى آخر الإحصائيات والأرقام وعلى مشاركتك القصة الشخصية معنا في من داخل سوريا. نفتح المجال للأسئلة. أصدقاء الصحفيين الزملاء المتواجدين معنا هون، أي أسئلة؟ تعرف عن حالك
ليلى من قناة غد. تحدثت سيد كفلاري عن بأن لو هناك أصبحت العديد من الدول المناطق في سوريا آمنة، لكن الوضع ليس جيدا وليس على ما يرام. وحتى في الإحصائيات التي أعطيتمونا إياها هناك حوالي 1100 طفل.
The microphone. Can you switch on the microphone? Thanks.
أوكي. تحدثت في بداية حديثك عن أنه على الرغم من وجود العديد من المناطق الآمنة في سوريا اليوم، ولكن الوضع ليس على ما يرام. حتى أن بعض الإحصائيات التي ذكرتموها وضعتموها في الأوراق تتحدث عن وجود 1100 طفل قتل. هل نفهم أنه بالعام 2018 هذا كان العدد الأكبر؟ وهل نفهم أن الوضع في سوريا على الرغم من وجود العديد من المناطق الآمنة لا يزال سيء جدا بالنسبة للأطفال؟
Well, thank you so very much for the question, a very important one. Indeed, as I said in my opening remarks, let us not be fooled by claims of military victory. For an organization like UNICEF, we look at the facts, and the facts about the situation of children, boys and girls alike, inside Syria and in the refugee hosting countries. The fact that children in 2018 and in the early months of 2019 continue to be killed, that is verified information. Now, kids continue to be killed in the areas where still active conflict is going on. The northwest, the Idlib area, the northeast I have mentioned, but also very important to continue emphasizing that Syria is currently infested by landmines and unexploded ordnance. Last year alone, close to 500 children lost their life simply because of being unaware and being hit by unexploded ordnance. So Syria is still not the safe place we want it to be for children, for the safe place for children to grow up. Yes, there is much less active conflict today compared to a few years ago. However, the facts are the facts. Children continue to be killed without a single justification. And until the very day that no child, no innocent child will be killed, we will continue being their voice. The international community, the parties to the conflict, and anyone with influence over them need to hear the voice of these children being killed. And the data, the facts, they just tell only part of the reality. Go and talk to the fathers and the mothers who has lost again a child. Go and talk to them. Have the courage to listen what it means for a father and a mother to lose your child. So that's the reality. That's a reality we will not stop raising until the moment no single child is getting killed. Shukran.
Other questions? Yes, please.
صباح الخير وسام، حتى وكيف نطق روسي.
عفوا من هي وكالة؟
سبوتنيك. تحدثتم عن ظاهرة ما يسمى أطفال داعش. هل لديكم معطيات عامة حول الدول التي تأتي منها الذي ينتمي إليها هؤلاء الأطفال؟ ومدى استجابة هذه الدول لمشكلة لحل هذه المشكلة بشكل عام؟ وبشكل أوسع هل لدى اليونيسف أي برامج لإعادة تأهيل يعني هؤلاء الأطفال سواء الذين يعني ضمن معسكرات داعش أو من عرف مجموعات إرهابية أخرى.
Thank you so very much. Another very important question. First, very important to emphasize that we today are not able to access each and every of these children of a foreign nationalities. So that's why I've made again the ask for us to have unimpeded access to each and every boy and girl concerned. From what we know today, out of the children of foreign nationality, there are about 43 countries concerned. Some countries have more, some countries have only a few children in northeast Syria in particular. What we have seen over the past year, and particularly over the past few months, where the attention for this group of children and their mothers has grown also in the media, is that some countries have taken up their responsibility. And let me emphasize it again, this is a primary responsibility of the countries of origin of these children. Some of them have taken their responsibility. For some children, there has been a successful repatriation, but only for a very few. And usually private initiatives, discrete private initiatives. There are a number of countries who have decided, committed to bring the children back. However, it is a complex undertaking on so many counts. So we are, I would say, let me use the right word, we are appreciative of steps that some countries have taken. We will be most appreciative once a solution for each and every of these children will be found. And your last point of the question, if UNICEF is having programs to rehabilitate, absolutely. That's why we are very bold in emphasizing that these are children, not terrorists. We have across the world in the past 20-30 years been working with children who have been associated with armed forces, and we have been successfully reintegrating these children into their communities, into their families. So from a UNICEF perspective, there is absolutely a bright future for these kids waiting, but we need to see responsibility taken. We can't rehabilitate these kids, for example, in our whole camp. Just, it's impossible to portray the living conditions of these people inside the camp. I said the camp supposed to host 20,000, today 65,000. Impossible to start rehabilitating. We need to get first and foremost to get these kids back in an environment where we can start the rehabilitation process. And children's resilience is such that we can be hopeful. That these kids are going to become very easily normal citizens. When I can just maybe reflect on a personal experience when in Mosul, when Mosul got liberated and we were receiving the children out of an area that had been under ISIS control, we were afraid. Kids who had been experiencing for years that extremist thinking, extremist regime. Well, the moment these kids arrived, we gave them a ball, we gave them a book. You should have seen these kids just opening up. And I am sure with your songs, Jad, that is exactly, if we start singing with these kids are ready for a new chapter in their life. Thanks.
ثانك يو. كنت للزميل من سبوتنيك بس نحب نشدد انه حسب يونيسف هم الاطفال الذين يشتبه بارتباطهم مع النزاع المسلح وليس اي تسميه اخرى على لسان اليونيسف. شكرا. جمال بليز. Jean-Marc is from AFP.
Hi, I'm Jean-Marc with AFP. Just wanted to check something. You said you support the repatriation of these children. You also said that you think these children should not be separated from their families. A country like France has suggested recently a plan by which some children would be repatriated without their families. I just want to make sure you think that's what your position is on this particular plan by France.
Well, thanks so much for also that question. For us at UNICEF, the perspective is simple and straightforward. It is the best interest of the child that has to make the determination of the decision of what to be doing with the families. If it is in the best interest of the child to be repatriated with her or his mother, we will advocate for that to be done. But again, that remains the responsibility of the member state of the country concerned. We can only advise, we can only guide, but our guidance or advice will always and solely be based on what is in the best interest of each and every child. Thanks.
Any other questions? أي أسئلة ثانية؟ أوكي، شكرا كثير. شكرا للحضور.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.